you so much for joining me for stretch class today. I'm really excited to be doing something a little bit different. So we don't need anything for your class today, but if you wanted to, you could grab a yoga strap or a towel, which just kind of helps, if you can't quite reach your legs sometimes. And the other thing I've got here is a little cushion just to pop under your knees when you're kneeling on the ground. So if you want, you can use those things. Otherwise, you can still complete this class with absolutely nothing at all, as always. So we're going to get started with the normal Pilates warm-up, which is just the 3 roll downs, the side bends and the rotations, and then we'll move into a full roughly 40 minutes of stretch. Okay, so let's just find our space on the mat. Stand up really tall. Want to be nice and long. We don't want to feel compressed or anything like that. Let's just do our normal roll downs, bending the knees, rolling down towards the floor. Hands are resting on the mat, breathing in here, and then pulling your tummy up towards your spine as we roll back up. And we'll go again, letting the arms hang, rolling down to the floor, breathing in and rolling up. Great. Last one. Rolling down and rolling back up. Taking your arms out to the side, reaching energy in those fingertips, side bends. So just a few things to remember while we're stretching. This is not stretching for dancers or circus performers. This is stretching for normal people. And I encourage you just to work to your own level, not to push yourself beyond what you're capable of, but also to probably feel a little bit uncomfortable in a few positions, just as we encourage our joints to open up and our muscles to lengthen. Hopefully by the end you'll feel nice and gooey and ready for your day, and you might learn a few things as to how to stretch yourself. We're also going to stretch a few muscles that you might not really normally stretch. Not just the obvious ones like your hamstrings and your glutes and with our lower back. We're going to stretch into our arms, across our chest, our back, our feet, all of the things. Hopefully we get it all done in the allocated time. So we'll move into some rotation after this. Palms to face the ceiling, bend the knees, and I'm always too close to the wall there. Double twist, back through center, double twist. So when it comes to stretching, it's a good idea to be warm before you even start, because stretching cold muscles, as you know, is not very pleasant. It doesn't really work very well. It's not safe. So we'll do a quick little, a dynamic warm up just to get some blood pumping. It's definitely not cardio, don't stress. It's just about building some body heat before we get into the stretching. Okay, so next one can be the last one. Okay, cool. So we're going to take the feet wide and we're just going to roll the shoulders back. And I don't want you to think about it looking pretty or looking dancey or anything like that, but I want you to try and move the rest of your body around as well. So I'm moving my hips. I'm not just isolating the shoulders. I'm going to get that blood circulating. And let's go back the other way now. So rolling the shoulders forward, one at a time. Don't worry if you feel uncoordinated. It's just not the point to look pretty here. Good. Now we're going to go both shoulders at once. So a nice big knee bend with a shoulder roll. And you can already start to feel some body heat going on. And let's go back the other way. That's it. Okay, let's take our arms out to the side. So we're going to lean as far across as we can, each side. It's pretty hard to move our hips around too much here, so just leave them as they are and just try and stretch from the top of your hip up. Nice and smooth and flowy. Get some blood going. That's it. Keeping this kind of feeling, we're going to reach up towards the roof. So I might just fix this camera up so you can see my hands. Not that it really matters, but we're going to bring the feet a little closer together, taking the arms up. And I'm going to bend my right knee, stick my left hip out, and reach my right hand up to the roof. And then I'm going to change to the other side. So I bend the left knee, reach my left arm up to the roof, and stick my right hip out. And we'll just change. Sticking the hip out gives us a better stretch. If you've got the wrong arm, wrong leg, don't even worry. Let's get a bit of pace with this now. Keep the blood flowing. Start to feel a little bit warmer. Yes. And then we're going to do a nice, step the feet out and do a nice big breath in and a roll down. Bend the knees, hands on the floor, relax the head. Start to pull the tummy in as we roll up, straighten the legs. Arms come up. They're going to come down in front this time. Pulling up. Arms out to the side and up. And straight down the middle. Stretching the legs. Nice big arm circle. And straight down the middle. Hands on the floor. Rolling up one last time. Then we'll go back the other way. Rolling up. So back the other way is like this. We're going to bend the knees. We're going to slightly arch the spine as we come down. Rolling up. Cross your arms. Open them up. Side view looks like this. I'm sticking my butt back. Find the floor. Rolling up. Cross the arms. Open them up. Bend the knees. Good. We'll go one more time. Open, bend, rolling up. Good. Let's get some movement in the hip. So you're just going to stick your hip out to the side, and then we're going to stick it out to the other side. So hopefully you feel something or other going on in your hip joints there, maybe even a little bit of a stretch in the inner thighs. It's nice and slow and controlled, so you don't have to worry about injuring yourself. That's it. And then we're going to turn our feet out from here. So my hips are turned out. I'm drawing my sit bones together towards each other at the back. I'm going to put my hands on my knees, and I'm just going to kind of relax into this stretch here. So I'm gently swinging side to side. You can see I've just let my shoulders elevate here. Don't worry about that. That's all right. And if you're feeling okay in this position, I'm going to slide down and put my elbows on my thighs there, somewhere down towards the knees, and continue just to kind of wobble side to side here. We'll do plenty of stretching for our inner thighs and our adductors, opening up the hips. I do want to do a little bit more standing before we get down to the floor. Just make sure you've got a wall nearby you, or I don't know, a bookcase or something you can put your hand on, just for this next exercise for our chest and our biceps. So think about what you got around you right now while we're finishing this off. Okay, so hands back on the knees. You can support your body all the way back up. Give yourself a little bit of a stretch. I'm just going to use this wall behind me here, or maybe even this one, depending on how well you can see. Actually, I might use this one. So I'm see my hand like so. I'm going to turn it so that it's out to the side like that and place it on the wall about shoulder height. And then I'm just going to gently twist away from my hand. So you can feel that neural sensation go all the way up the insides of your arm, maybe up into your bicep. So a bicep is a really tricky muscle to stretch. If you want to play around with this, you can think about turning your hand down towards the floor. Just see how you go with that neural feeling. It's a really strange, funny feeling if you're not used to it. And maybe even play around with your hand pointing up to the roof. So it's all a neural sensation. It all feels a bit weird. So just find the position of your hand that works for you. Great. Give your hand a little bit of a shake. I'm going to place my arm like so. I'm going to step my opposite leg forward. So my right arm is up, my left leg is forward, and then I'm just going to twist away over my left shoulder. So now I'm hopefully getting a bit of a stretch in my pecs. So this works well if you can hook your hand on a door frame or the window frame or something, corner of a wall, but you can still do it on a flat wall like this. And hopefully, if you slide your shoulders down, getting a nice stretch across the chest. And we'll do the same to the other side, just because it's easier for you to see. I'm going to go for this wall. Oh, there's a little ledge here that I can use for the chest stretch, which is good. So I'm going to start by taking my hand, pointing it to the back wall, and just a little bit of a twist. Feel that neural sensation. Oh yeah. I'm going to play with the position of my hands. I'm going to take it down towards the floor. Just notice the difference. Maybe it feels different arm to arm. Now I'm going to change, point it up to the roof. And it really all depends on how flexible your shoulders are as well. Just important to notice these things and just to be careful. And let's give it a bit of a shake out. So for my pec stretch here, I can just slide my hand up against the window frame here. I'm going to step forward with my outside leg. So if this is my inside arm, stepping forward with my outside leg. And I'm just twisting open, getting a bit of a stretch across my pecs, chest. Trying to breathe normally. And we'll release that. Good. We're going to take the feet nice and wide now. We're going to make our way down to the floor. I'm going to slide so my feet are really wide as I can really imagine. And I'm going to slide my hands down my legs like so. I'm trying to keep my back nice and straight. There's going to be a point where my back is going to want to round. So at that point, you want to bend your knees, and I'm going to take my hands onto my ankles. So my legs are bent. I'm just doing a little bit of knee bending side to side, kind of like a hip wobble. And then finding some stillness, I'm going to lower the top of my head down towards the mat. So my knees are still bent. When my head is as close to the floor as it's ever going to be, I'm going to slowly straighten up my legs here. The idea is that we keep our back nice and long. Everybody's going to be a bit different. If you don't want to straighten out your knees, please don't. Just work with what is comfortable for you. I'm bending my knees now, and now I'm stretching them. I'm going to bend and stretch. With each stretch, encouraging my head to be a little closer to the mat. Bend, stretch. We're still upside down, still looking behind you. Bend and stretch. Now just place your hands on the floor right beside where your head is. And then we're going to bend one knee. So I'm going to go right. It's up to you what you do. Taking my hands over to that right side. I'm going to turn my hips out and I'm going to sink down into an inner thigh stretch here. So I've got my elbow in front of my knee and I'm gently pressing it back, encouraging my hips to open up. This heel here, let's try and encourage it to be down. If you feel like you're stuck up there like that, try and sit up a little bit and take your weight back. It's perfectly fine to have your hand supporting your body weight a little bit. Keep pressing that knee open. All right, we're going to transition over to the other side. So hands on the mat. We're going to bend both knees, walk to the other side, and slowly sink down into the same situation. So again, elbow encouraging that knee to open up. You can place your hand behind you here if you think you need it for support. Encouraging this heel to be down, and that's quite intense on the Achilles, so if you don't have flexi Achilles, don't worry, we'll get there bit by bit. All right, so hands on the mat. Let's support our bodies all the way back over to the other side. I'm going to spin around so that I'm in a lunge situation here. So here's where you could grab that pillow and pop it under your back knee if you want to. I'm going to keep my back knee lifted just for the minute, but please feel free to lower it down if you want. And I'm going to rock forward and just rock back a little bit. Rocking forward and back. Forward and back. That's it. Just encouraging my hip flexors to lengthen. There's a lot going on with the supporting leg, bit of a hamstring stretch, definitely some heat in the quads. Let's lower down this back knee, untuck the toes, hands on the front knee, pressing your hips forward. And we're going to look up to the ceiling, not necessarily lifting the chin up, but sort of lifting from the collarbones. I like to press down on my knee with my hands. It really helps set the shoulder blades in the right place. So now let's release our hands. We're going to take them up and we're going to continue to add a little bit of a back bend here. So if you don't like looking back, just keep your chin forward, but try and extend your spine. Nice, pressing the pelvis forward. And we're going to take our hands down back where they were, and we're going to start to do a little bit of rocking back and forth here. So we don't have to get this front leg straight, just moving gently forward and back. Don't worry, I'm not going to make you do the splits, but we're just going to do this sort of half split situation to get our hamstrings stretchy, flexy, waking them up. I'm thinking about putting that pillow under my knee. Maybe on the other side. All right, so here I'm going to slowly go back and I want you to try and keep your back nice and straight. So I'm pressing my belly button towards the floor. I'm going to start to straighten up my leg. If it doesn't straighten, then that's okay. That's just your level. And I'm going to continue to press my belly button towards my knee or towards the floor, flexing my front foot. So this is a little half split. It's like you're pulling your hamstring like a rubber band in two opposite directions. You've got your foot flexing, pulling it from this end, and you're sticking your butt back, so you're pulling it from the other end. That's why it feels really intense. If you were to let your foot flop, you'd literally just be stretching it from one end. So that's why it always feels more intense when you do it from both. Whew. All right, so now we're going to see if we can fold our body forward. So don't worry if your back doesn't stay straight. Just lowering our chest down over the leg. Keep the foot flexed. It's very intense. And we'll release now. So I'm going to heel toe my foot just to the outside of the mat, maybe even off the mat a little bit. And I'm going to wiggle my knee back a little bit. So you can see that my leg is a little bit more extended than it was. And then I'm just going to walk my hands around to the front. I'm just going to do a little bit of wobbling around here. Seeing how you're feeling. Really wish I put that pillow under my knee. I'll get to it. If you're feeling good, maybe you want to drop down onto your elbows and continue to wobble around a bit. These are all just options, so all levels of flexibility can be accommodated. And then we're going to support ourselves, heel toe our foot all the way across to the other side of the mat. And then we'll carefully support our bodies down as we lower into a pigeon stretch. So you know that the more parallel your shin can be to the top of the mat, the more intense your stretch is. Reality is that I'm never going to get that. So we just figure it out ourselves. So we should get a nice little stretch of our hip flexor here. Starting to feel the stretch in our glute. And we're going to fold forward like so. Maybe resting your head on your hands, maybe not. Maybe just supporting yourself on your elbows. And maybe while you're here, we can kind of just wiggle our hips forward and back. I always think it's nice to be dynamic in stretching and not just hold static stretches, just to keep it moving different to bouncing. We wouldn't be here doing weird stuff like that. It's a very outdated method of stretching and certainly might be fine for circus performers and dancers, but not for the everyday person who's just trying to increase their flexibility a little bit. All right, so supporting ourselves as we come back up here. I'm going to bend this back knee and I'm going to twist around to the back, grabbing on to my foot. So I've still got my hand on the floor for support here. You're just going to gently pull your heel towards your glute. So I'm twisting the spine. You could do it with this arm, but I'm trying to also get a bit of a spine stretch involved. It's fairly intense, and if you cannot grab your foot, here's where your yoga strap would help. You could wrap it around and grab onto it there, or it might be more trouble than it's worth because we won't be here for too long. So if this part of the stretch is just not for you, continue to stay in your glute stretch, folding forward, resting on the floor. And we'll slowly let that go. Hands on the mat. We're going to see if we can lift back up into our lunge, just lowering that foot down. And then we're going to do all that to the other side. So support your bodies. We're coming around, sinking back into our adductor stretch. Support yourself as we go to the other side. Crack, 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 crack. We're not staying here. We're going up and over to the other side. Good. So I'm just going to move forward and back like we did on the other side here. Feel free to pop your knee in the ground if that makes you happy. Great. Let's think about lowering, I'm going to be smart this time, lowering our knee down to the mat. Untuck the toes. Place your hands on your front knee and just press that pelvis forward, lifting your sternum, your collarbones up to the roof. Breathing. Breath is pretty important when you're stretching. You don't want to be holding your breath because then the oxygen can't get down into your muscles and help them lengthen. Let's take these arms up. If you're not comfortable leaning back, which I know I don't really like doing that either, with the chin, then just look forward and add the back extension. Pressing your pelvis forward. Breathing. And we'll take our hands down by our ankle. Right, let's just start to move gently forward and back here. So remember, I'm not necessarily trying to get my legs straight just yet. Just encouraging my hamstring to wake up, to prepare it for a good old stretch that we know is coming. Okay, so on the next one, we're going to slowly stick the butt back, trying to keep your spine as long as possible, straightening out that front knee and slowly flexing the foot. Keep sticking your butt back, keep pressing your belly button towards your knee. Keep those shoulders down. May as well engage that core while we're here. Always a good thing. Try just releasing the foot, see how that changes the stretch. Popping it back on. Breathing, breathing, breathing. And I'm going to lower my chest now over the thigh. That's it. Breathing. Keep sticking your butt back. Keep pressing your foot back, pulling your foot back towards you. And let's release. So I'm going to heel toe this front foot, probably just off the mat there. I'm going to lift up into a full lunge, but if you prefer, keep that knee down. I can't even remember what I did on the other side, but whatever you did on the other side. And then I'm just going to walk, actually I did have it lower, didn't I? I'm going to walk my hands around towards the front a little bit, and I'm just going to move around here. It doesn't really matter how you move, just get it moving. And if you want, you could drop down to your elbows and continue to move around, working to whatever level suits you, of course. And then we're going to make our way up and get into that glute stretch. So heel toe your foot across to the other side of the mat. You're going to carefully lower your knee down, wriggle around until you're comfortable. I'm just going to get that out of the way now. I'm going to feel that hip flexor stretch there. And then I'm going to fold down, maybe just to there. If you think you're comfortable with going all the way to the floor, yeah, just go for it. Once you're there and you're settled in, maybe just moving around. Oh, feels nice to just be stretching for 40 minutes rather than having a furious abdominal series all the time. And we'll start to think about making our way up. We're nearly at the point where we can lie down. We won't be lying down for too long, though. We'll be sitting up for most of it. All right, so I want to stretch the tops of our feet. So I'm just going to support my body as I get back up into that lunge, just to make sure we're even. I'm going to twist back around one last time into our inner thigh stretch, and then place both hands on the floor. You're going to heel toe your feet back together, knees are bent, and we're going to, I hope you can see okay there, I'm just with my left foot, I'm just going to place the tops of my toes on the mat here. So it's fine to have bent legs. I might turn to the side, that might be easier for you to see. Yeah, like so. So then I'm going to gently support myself. It doesn't matter if my back heel lifts up off the ground, but I'm trying to stretch the tops of my feet. I'm going to take my hands behind me. I'm going to lean back, and I'm just going to gently stretch the top of my feet. And if you're not used to this sensation, it's going to feel very strange. You'll feel it in your toes, you'll feel it maybe up into your ankle, certainly in the tops of those feet. And whatever level works for you. You might not be able to lean back like so. Just want you to feel a few things that you don't normally feel in your everyday life. Good. And let's support ourselves forward. You can stay facing exactly the same way. I'm just going to spin around so that's easier for you to see. So I'm going to tuck my toes like so. I'm going to bend down slowly and just noticing all the things that I feel. Carefully leaning back now, and I'm going to do a little bit of moving around. See how it feels side to side. Breathing. Weird feeling, isn't it? Nearly done. 2 more times. And last one. Good. So from here, just carefully release your feet. I'm going to grab onto this yoga strap. I'm going to wrap it around one foot. So just feel free to grab onto your leg if you like. And we're going to head down to the ground. So using a towel or a strap is just a nice way to actually reach your feet if they're not possible. I just like stretching with a strap. Even though I can reach my feet, it just makes me feel good. So I'm just holding here. I'm going to bend and stretch. Bend and stretch. So you can see I'm not really overdoing it. I'm working well within my range this morning, but I'm feeling quite good after all that stretchiness. Hopefully you are too. Your hamstrings don't feel blocked. Like sometimes they get blocked, don't they, if we've used them, they get sore and tight. And if you have a sore back, sometimes a hamstring stretch can radiate pain all the way up into your lower back there. So it is important to be careful, but also definitely not to stop stretching. You just need to do it within your range and slowly build up. One of these days I'll do a class where we use a roller or a ball, and I'll teach you some muscle release techniques that can really help you get through your stretching if you do feel blocked. All right, holding here. Holding, maybe increasing it a little bit for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Nice, I'm going to swap my legs over. Slowly sliding that leg down the mat. I'm going to bend and stretch. Bend and stretch. So if you're not using a strap, just grab behind your knee or onto your ankle, or your foot if you can reach it. Relax those shoulders. Keeping it within your range. All right, let's pause here. Keep those big breaths going. Increase it by a millimeter. All right, we're going to release that now. Don't need that strap anymore. We're going to come up to sitting position. We're going to take the legs wide. So a little tip, if you want to put something behind your butt just to help tip your pelvis forward, that's a nice little trick. But using your hands if you need to. We've got the legs wide as they can be for you. Don't feel ashamed to bring them a bit closer, or even just to bend one knee if you're starting out or if you're feeling particularly tight. Flexibility is a process. It takes a long time, especially as we get older. All right, so I'm tipping my body and my pelvis forward. I'm trying not to hang back like that. Use my hands. Once I've got my stretch, I'm going to hold my core nice and tight, and I'm going to place the hands in front. All right, I'm going to slowly bend the elbows. You might be at your max stretch here, so just continue to stay there if that's your thing. I'm going to go down a little bit lower and try and settle into this stretch here. Breathing. And we're going to release back up. I'm going to do a little sequence that I know Cherie likes to do in her classes. I think it's lovely and it's really nice and flowy. So we're going to walk our hands over to one side, keeping the weight forward. And then we're going to walk the hands around nice and slowly, out in front, feeling the different sensations as we transition from side to side. And then just pausing here. Not giving ourselves a hard time if we're getting stuck. Let's have a break, release. And now we're going to go back the other way. So taking the hands forward. We're going to walk slowly around, through, center, all the way to the other side and up. Nice. All right. A little bit of a wiggle around. We're going to walk forward and see if we can just relax here for another few seconds. Time has beaten me again. We'll get to our back next time. Hopefully your hips are feeling good. That was kind of my goal today. Relaxing. Breathing, encouraging that belly button to get a bit closer to the floor. And we'll walk back in. Oh, wow. So I'm going to support my legs as I let them come back together. I'm actually going to do a little tiny bit of internal rotation. So if you take your feet a little bit wider and just let the knees fall together, that just kind of counteracts what we've been doing. Good, and maybe even a little windscreen wiper to each side. You know what I just remembered we forgot to do was the quad stretch on the second side. Let's just chuck it in now. Remember we twisted around and I realized I didn't do that on this side. So for me it's my left leg forward. And remember I'm going to spin around towards the back, grabbing onto your foot. I knew there was something I forgot in my sequence there, but it doesn't matter. We got there in the end. Twisting through the spine. Feel that intensity through your quad. All right, good. Let's leave that leg. We're going to come all the way up to standing, and as always, finishing with those 3 roll downs. So making our way up, 3 roll downs to finish. So find your center. Gosh, 40 minutes isn't really enough for stretching, is it? Rolling down, so much more to do. We shall do it next time. Rolling up. And a couple more. Noticing all the things we are feeling. Hopefully you feel a lot different in the lower half of your body. Of course, we did a few pec stretches for our arms, which is nice. Rolling up. Nice big breath in and out. And we did it! Thanks for joining me. Have a great day, guys. I'll see you soon. Bye.